All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unraveling the foundational lore of Dark Souls 3, exploring the absolute tragedy and the mind-bending physics behind the fading first flame. If you spent any time in this universe, you know the world feels deeply, fundamentally broken. But why it's broken? Why the very fabric of reality seems to be tearing apart? Well, that's a cosmic mystery we're going to solve right now.
We all know these words, right? Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. It's iconic, but it perfectly sets the stage for our central mystery. Lothric isn't just a kingdom with a castle, it's a fractured world where space and time are physically collapsing in on themselves. But to understand how we got to this point of total convergence, we really need to look at what's actually happening on the ground.
So here's the immediate crisis we're dealing with. First, the first flame is fading. Second, space and time are violently converging together. And third, we inexplicably have multiple versions of our hub world, the Firelink Shrine, existing at the exact same time. To understand why Lothric looks like different geographical eras literally smashed together into one massive ruin, we have to go back, all the way back, to the very beginning to look at the fundamental laws of this universe.
Let's rewind the cosmological clock. We start in the first epoch, the Age of Ancients. This was a gray, unformed world of immortal, everlasting dragons and archtrees. No life, no death. But then, the second epoch hits, the discovery of fire. This is absolutely crucial. The first flame brought disparity to the world, heat and cold, life and death, light and dark. Then, in the third epoch, the lords used this fire to wage war against the dragons, winning and ushering in the fourth epoch, the Age of Fire, ruled by the gods. The discovery of that first flame is what completely disrupted the immortal, gray world with this brand new concept of disparity.
And based on the lore we get from the primordial serpent Cathay and the scholar Aldea, this disparity created a stark duality. On one side, you've got fire. This represents the gods, light, and what Aldea actually calls a fleeting illusion of life. On the other side, dark represents humanity, the abyss, and the true, eternal shape of man. Fire and dark are intrinsically linked, but as the fire began to naturally fade, the power of dark, the power of humanity, began to grow. And the gods, they were terrified of this.
Because of that immense fear, we get the dark sign. It's essentially a brand manifesting on men that traps them in a brutal cycle of resurrection and hollowing, completely preventing their souls from naturally passing into death. Lord Gwyn, the head of the gods, was so terrified of the dark that he actively resisted the course of nature. He sacrificed himself to link the first flame, and it's heavily implied that the gods utilized the dark sign to ensure humanity would be constantly corralled into offering themselves to the bonfires, forever fueling the flame just to preserve the gods' age.
Which brings us to a pretty chilling realization, summed up perfectly by Aldea. Once, the Lord of Light banished dark, men are props on the stage of life. A lie will remain a lie. Aldea called this massive concealment of man's true hollow nature, the first sin. He framed the entire Age of Fire as a desperate, artificial lie. Mankind was basically shackled by falsehoods to maintain a world that was supposed to end eons ago.
So how do you keep a cosmic lie going for countless eons? You need Lords of Cinder. These are exceedingly powerful beings who successfully survived the immense sacrifice of linking the first flame, becoming charred remnants of their past selves. This broken cycle of repeatedly linking the flame created a world literally built on ash and soot. Sustaining it required unfathomably strong individuals to burn their mighty souls again and again and again.
But as you'd expect, eventually the system breaks. The crisis of our story peaks because the fire is fading so badly that these past lords are resurrected to link it once more. But they all abandon their thrones. Aldrich had visions of a coming age of the deep sea and decided to devour gods instead. Yorm's capital was consumed by fire, so he has nothing left to protect. The Undead Legion is locked in an endless battle with the Abyss, and Prince Lothric, he simply refuses the duty, choosing to just sit in his tower and watch the fire fade. Nobody wants to fuel the lie anymore.
Since the lords flat-out refused their duty, a desperate failsafe is triggered. The bell tolls to awaken the unkindled, and that's us. Unkindled are nameless, accursed undead who previously tried to link the flame but failed. We were entirely consumed by it, rendering us unfit even to be cinder. We are awakened for one sole purpose, to forcefully drag those AWOL lords back to their thrones.
It's really fascinating to look at the stark hierarchy here. It's a very literal metaphor. On one side, you have the Lords of Cinder. They survive the burning fire and retain immense power.
On the other side, you have the unkindled ash, completely consumed by the fire, possessing absolutely nothing. They are cinder because they survived the burning, while you are ash because you burned away entirely. But as the lore famously states, ash seeketh embers. As an unkindled, you are naturally, almost magnetically drawn to the remaining warmth of the Lords of Cinder. So the crucial takeaway is that you, a seemingly worthless being of ash, must hunt down these mighty, godlike cinders to forcefully recreate the first flame. It's basically an impossible task assigned to the ultimate underdog.
Now, as we explore this broken cycle, trying to fulfill our mission, we hit the ultimate cosmological mystery. Why are there 3 different Firelink shrines? We've got the normal Firelink we use as a hub, the pitch-black untended graves hidden behind an illusory wall, and the ruined flameless shrine we visit at the very end of the journey. How is this physically possible?
Well, the community has investigated this heavily, pulling together dialogue and environmental storytelling to present 3 main theories. First up, time travel. We're visiting a past era where Champion Gundyr arrived too late and the fire temporarily faded out. Second, parallel universes, alternate worlds bleeding into each other. Or third, temporal stagnation, a complete, terrifying collapse of time itself.
The Firekeeper's dialogue actually gives us a massive clue pointing straight toward that third theory. She says, "The first flame is going out, and then in time, small flames shall appear in the darkness, the embers that were inherited by the kings." This reveals something vital. The Lords of Cinder didn't just burn, they literally tethered pieces of the first flame to reality, anchoring the world to delay the Age of Dark.
So let's break down how this actually manifests in the world. Step 1, the first flame begins to die. Step 2, because the flame is dying, light fades from the world. Step 3 is where the physics completely shatter. In this universe, light holds domain over time. So as light fades, the flow of time itself stagnates and breaks. And finally, step 4, past and future spaces violently converge onto Lothric. Because the fire is failing, history and geography literally smash together, pulling the ancient homelands of the Lords of Cinder right to the base of Lothric Castle.
And this brings a terrifying new context to the untended graves. It implies that the dark Firelink shrine we find isn't just a physical place you walked to. It's a manifestation of what the universe looks like when reduced to pure abyssal space. When time and light completely break down, all that is left is the inevitable Age of Dark, a world completely devoid of light, fire, and time.
So, as we finish unraveling this cosmic puzzle, we see a world desperately clinging to a fading light, terrified of the encroaching dark, and fracturing under the weight of its own stagnation. And we're left to ponder this haunting question from Aldea. There is no path. Beyond the scope of light, beyond the reach of dark, what could possibly await us? Is there a third option for humanity, or are we forever doomed to repeat this broken, burning cycle? Think about that the next time you sit at a bonfire.